The sky over Earth was calm, almost peaceful, but deep in orbit, something unusual moved, with quiet precision. The massive spacecraft hovered silently, its dark, metallic hull reflecting the faint glow of the sun. To anyone watching from the ground, it would have looked like a strange cloud or a glint in the sky. But for the alien species known as the Zytrons, this was the perfect vantage point. From here, they could study the humans, understand them, and prepare to take control. Zareth, the Zytron leader, floated in the command room of the ship. His 3 long arms manipulated glowing panels, adjusting sensors and scanning the planet below. His skin shimmered in shades of blue and silver, a natural defense against harsh light and radiation. His large, multifaceted eyes reflected the image of Earth below, as if the planet itself were being examined under a microscope. "These humans are primitive," Zareth hissed, his voice vibrating with a metallic echo. "Their technology is simple. Their societies are chaotic. Yet, their behavior is unpredictable. That unpredictability is their only strength." Beside him, Lieutenant Vryn adjusted another holographic display. "Leader Zareth, our devices will collect enough data to predict all major actions. Soon, this world will be ours. Resistance is unlikely." Zareth's mandibles clicked. "Yes, resistance is unlikely. But I want certainty. Complete certainty. Every detail of their governments, military, and communications must be mapped before we act." Far below, on Earth, no one noticed anything unusual. Cities thrived. People went about their daily lives, unaware of the observers above. Yet, one human stood apart from the rest. Captain Elias Kane sat in a quiet office, the glow of multiple monitors illuminating his thoughtful face. He was a human intelligence officer, and for months he had been noticing strange anomalies. Communications in the northern hemisphere were slightly distorted. Satellite data showed small, unexplained signals, and some of the world's most advanced computers were acting as if they were being probed. Elias did not panic. Instead, he leaned forward, studying the strange patterns. There was something intelligent behind the disturbances. Someone, or something, was observing, trying to understand humanity. And Elias was determined to find out who. For weeks, he worked quietly, comparing every anomaly with known technology and behavior patterns. Slowly, he began to see a picture forming. The signals were not natural. The anomalies were not accidents. Someone was gathering data, calculating responses, predicting human behavior. Elias felt a thrill he could not explain. The humans had faced enemies before, but this was different. This intelligence was not like any Earth technology. It was foreign, advanced, and very, very careful. On board the Zytron ship, the aliens deployed small, sleek probes to Earth's surface. Each probe was invisible to human eyes, equipped with sensors to collect data about humans' daily lives, movements, and even thoughts through advanced scanning technology. The probes moved silently, slipping into cities, forests, and oceans without leaving a trace. Back in his office, Elias noticed the first sign of these probes. The data streams on his monitors showed slight interference, tiny anomalies in the signals that others would have ignored. But he did not ignore them. He cross-checked the patterns, ran simulations, and for the first time, he smiled. "They're here," he whispered. At the same time, Zareth was confident in his plan. "Soon," he told his lieutenant, "we will manipulate their governments, control their infrastructure, and make them obey without a fight. It is only a matter of time." But Zareth had made a crucial mistake. He underestimated the humans' adaptability, their ability to think creatively, and their determination to survive. He assumed that the humans were simple, predictable creatures. He did not realize that Elias Kane had been studying their technology and behavior, learning their logic, and predicting their moves even before the Zytrons acted. Over the next few days, small events began to unfold on Earth. Power grids flickered, transport systems experienced minor delays, and communications showed glitches. The public noticed these disturbances but dismissed them as technical errors. Governments convened emergency meetings, engineers worked overtime, and scientists investigated. Yet none could detect the true cause: intelligent alien observation. Elias, however, was ready. He mapped the anomalies, traced them back to their source, and studied the signals. Every probe, every data packet, every attempt by the Zytrons to anticipate human behavior was carefully analyzed. He could see their logic, understand their strategy, and, most importantly, he could prepare countermeasures, all without alerting the aliens. Meanwhile, Zareth grew more impatient. "Why is progress so slow?" he demanded. "Our sensors detect resistance, yet the humans show no signs of awareness. Are they hiding something?" Vryn tilted his head. "Perhaps they are intelligent beyond their appearance. But our calculations indicate they cannot fully comprehend our technology." Zareth's eyes narrowed. "We shall see." The Zytrons initiated a series of experiments. They subtly influenced economic systems, tested reactions to social changes, and monitored political decisions. They expected chaos, fear, and disorganization. They expected humans to fail. But humans did not fail. Elias began to subtly counter the Zytrons' influence, rerouting data, isolating affected systems, and creating controlled errors that misled the aliens. Every move by the Zytrons was anticipated, studied, and neutralized without their knowledge. To the aliens, it seemed like the humans were simply lucky, inefficient, or unpredictable. On the ship, Zareth observed the results. "Our probes report minor failures," he said, "but they are inconsequential. The humans are still under our observation, and soon, we will have full control." Yet Elias had already turned their data against them. By feeding the Zytrons misleading information and controlling the flow of observable outcomes, he began to manipulate the aliens' perception of humanity. Each small countermeasure was a calculated step in a much larger plan that Zareth could not yet see. Outside Earth's atmosphere, the Zytrons watched, confident in their strategy. Inside Earth's cities, people continued their daily lives, unaware that an alien intelligence was calculating their every action. And in a quiet office, one human smiled, knowing that the greatest battle was not yet fought, but it had already begun. Elias's mind raced with possibilities. He knew that the Zytrons' arrogance would be their weakness. They assumed humans were simple, predictable, and incapable of strategic thinking. They had no idea that a single human could understand their entire approach, anticipate their moves, and turn their own technology against them. Yet, despite his confidence, Elias remained cautious. The Zytrons were advanced, and a single mistake could be catastrophic. Every decision he made had to be precise, calculated, and unseen. He could not alert the aliens to his awareness. The battle, for now, was invisible. As the sun set over the horizon, casting long shadows across cities and forests, the first probes reported back to Zareth. Their data was incomplete, inconsistent, and confusing. Zareth frowned. "Something is wrong," he said. "They are not behaving as expected. Our predictions, they are failing." Vryn, always eager to reassure, said, "It is probably a minor error in our calculations. Humans are illogical, but they cannot comprehend our full strategy." Zareth's eyes glinted. "Perhaps. But we will not underestimate them. Continue monitoring. Adjust the probes. Leave no detail unseen. Soon, we will know everything, and then the humans will have no choice but to obey." Unseen by the Zytrons, Elias worked tirelessly. He traced every probe signal, identified weaknesses in their logic, and began constructing a strategy that would use the aliens' own technology against them. Each step was deliberate, each move carefully hidden. By nightfall, Elias leaned back in his chair, exhausted but determined. He knew the true battle had just begun. The Zytrons believed they were in control. They believed humans were predictable. They believed they had all the information. And that was their greatest mistake. For humans were not predictable. Humans were creative, adaptable, and determined. And Elias Kane was ready to prove it. Above, the massive Zytron ship continued its silent orbit, unaware that its every move was being studied, anticipated, and prepared for by a single human mind. The aliens believed they were observing, controlling, and predicting. But in truth, the human had already begun to turn the tables. And soon, Zereth would realize, too late, that the human knew everything. The world seemed calm on the surface. People went about their daily lives, oblivious to the silent war unfolding above them. Yet, under that calm, a battle of intellect and strategy raged, one that humans were slowly but surely winning. Captain Elias Kane moved through the corridors of the underground intelligence facility like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every screen, every server, every blinking light was part of a complex network he had built to understand the aliens' moves. Months of careful observation, analysis, and patience had finally begun to show results. The first signs of action came from the satellites. Minor disruptions in communication, which at first appeared random, were now predictable. Elias could trace each one back to the Zytron's probes. He knew the paths they followed, the data they collected, and, most importantly, the logic they used to predict human behavior. "They're trying to influence the systems again," Elias said softly, tapping on his tablet. Lines of code scrolled across the screen as he rerouted the data streams, subtly misdirecting the alien probes. "But they don't know I've already read their plan." Outside, the massive Zytron ship glided through space, its surface reflecting the light of distant stars. Zereth paced the command deck, his multiple eyes scanning endless streams of information. Every signal, every transmission, every anomaly was monitored. And yet, even with their advanced technology, the Zytrons could not detect the subtle manipulations of a single human. Vryn hovered nearby, her antennae twitching nervously. "Leader Zereth, some of the data seems inconsistent. The humans are responding in ways that do not match our predictions." Zereth's mandibles clicked sharply. "Inconsistent or unpredictable? There is a difference. Observe more. Do not act until we have complete certainty. Humans cannot comprehend the full power of our calculations. Although, on Earth, Elias continued his preparations. He began using the Zytron's own logic against them. Every probe that collected data from a city was feeding information back into human-operated systems that Elias controlled. Using subtle code injections and countersignals, he ensured that the aliens would interpret human actions incorrectly. He called it the mirror strategy. By reflecting false patterns back at the Zytrons, he created the illusion that humans were behaving unpredictably, when, in reality, every move was carefully controlled. Elias worked late into the night, his mind sharp despite exhaustion. He knew the Zytrons' confidence was their weakness. They believed they could anticipate human actions because of their advanced analytical abilities. But humans were not machines. Humans could adapt, improvise, and make decisions based on creativity and intuition qualities no alien algorithm could fully predict. Meanwhile, the Zytrons began their first real test. They activated the first stage of their infiltration plan. Subtle interference with global infrastructure. Power grids experienced minor fluctuations. Transportation networks slowed inexplicably. Communications faced brief interruptions. From the aliens' perspective, everything was going according to plan. They expected chaos, confusion, and fear. But Elias had already countered each move. Hidden redundancies, encrypted failsafes, and intelligent rerouting ensured that the disturbances appeared minor and unconnected. To the Zytrons, humans seemed unpredictable and unreliable. To Elias, they were exactly where he wanted them. In New York, a subway system experienced a sudden power blip. Commuters grumbled and adjusted to the delay, unaware that the malfunction was the result of alien probing. In Tokyo, communication satellites reported minor errors, quickly corrected by automated systems. In Paris, a traffic control network paused for a few minutes, then resumed without incident. Each of these events was a carefully orchestrated response designed by Elias to mislead the Zytrons. Back in orbit, Zareth's eyes narrowed. "Something is not right," he said. "Our predictions should have caused panic, disruption, and fear. Yet the humans adapt too quickly. They respond before our interventions take effect." Vryn tilted her head. "Perhaps they are learning, but learning is slow. Our calculations are still superior. We must remain confident." Vryn. Zareth's mandibles clicked in frustration. "Confidence without certainty is useless. Increase probe activity. Observe more. I will not tolerate failure." Elias, anticipating this reaction, had already created contingencies. He had embedded decoy signals in the network, feeding the Zytrons information that suggested human disorganization, conflicting priorities, and internal disagreements. The aliens interpreted these signals as evidence that humans were chaotic and unpredictable, when in reality, the humans were perfectly coordinated under Elias's direction. "Every move they make, I know it in advance," Elias whispered. "They think they control the situation, but it is only an illusion." As days passed, Elias escalated his efforts. He began intercepting Zytron communications, translating their alien code, and predicting their next actions with remarkable accuracy. With each intercepted message, he refined his strategy, countering the aliens' influence before they even realized it. The Zytrons, confident in their superiority, decided to test humanity further. They initiated minor economic disturbances, nudged political decisions, and manipulated information streams. Their goal was to create chaos, to divide humans, to weaken resistance. Yet humans, guided by Elias's invisible hand, remained resilient. Economies adjusted. Leaders responded with calm and intelligence. And societies continued functioning despite the hidden alien interference. The Zytrons were baffled. Every step they took seemed ineffective. Every calculation they made appeared flawed. Zareth grew restless. "They are adapting too quickly," he admitted quietly. "Our data is flawed. Their reactions are unpredictable." Vryn looked at him, worried. "Perhaps our assessment of their intelligence was incomplete." Zareth's eyes glinted. "Incomplete? No. We are still superior. But perhaps we underestimated one factor: the human mind. There may be an intelligence among them capable of seeing everything, watching everything, anticipating everything." Elias, miles below, was indeed watching everything. He had identified patterns in Zytron behavior, predicted their probe's movements, and devised countermeasures for each scenario. The aliens believed they were testing humans, but in truth, they were being tested themselves and failing. For the first time, Zareth felt uncertainty, a feeling foreign to him and his species. "We must understand this human," he said. "Find the one who anticipates us. Identify the threat before it is too late." Elias, meanwhile, smiled quietly to himself. "They don't know," he thought. "They think they are in control. But the human advantage is more than technology. It is creativity, intuition, and adaptability. And I have all three, in abundance." The Zytrons continued their operations, unaware that Elias was already planning a larger strategy. He would allow them to proceed just enough to gain confidence, to believe their dominance was inevitable. Then, at the perfect moment, humans would strike not with brute force, but with precision, intelligence, and strategy. Over the following weeks, subtle battles unfolded worldwide. Power grids fluctuated, transportation systems hiccuped, and communications experienced minor distortions. Each event was a test, a probe into humanity's resilience, and each time humans adapted, corrected, and improved. Elias used these events to train and prepare human forces. Secret teams were mobilized, systems were reinforced, and counterintelligence measures were implemented. All of this was done quietly, without alerting the Zytrons. The aliens believed their influence was spreading, when in reality, humans were learning, anticipating, and preparing to strike back. Zareth's frustration grew. Why do they adapt so quickly? Why do they resist every intervention? Vryn hesitated. Perhaps there is one among them who understands our logic, one who predicts our every move. Zareth's eyes widened. Find them. Identify this human. If they control the others, we cannot succeed. This human is the key. The rest will follow their lead. And if we fail to neutralize this individual, our mission may fail. Unknown to the Zytrons, that human was already steps ahead. Elias had anticipated their suspicions and had built layers of deception to protect himself. Every probe that tried to trace him was fed false signals. Every calculation that attempted to locate him failed. Elias looked at the blinking lights on his monitors and whispered, "Soon, they will realize, too late, that the human knows everything." 3. As Part 2 closes, the stage is set. The Zytrons remain confident, blind to the truth. Humanity, guided by one brilliant mind, is ready to turn the aliens' arrogance into their greatest weakness. The battle is no longer just about survival. It is about proving that human ingenuity, adaptability, and intelligence can outmatch even the most advanced alien species. And above all, Elias Kane knows that the moment the Zytrons realize the truth, it will be too late to stop the human advantage. The city of New Chicago was quiet, almost eerily so. Lights flickered in the early morning fog, cars moved along empty streets, and the hum of civilization filled the air. To anyone walking the streets, life was normal. But beneath the surface, an invisible battle was being fought, a battle that only a few could see. Captain Elias Kane sat in the underground command center, the glow of countless monitors reflecting off his determined face. He had been preparing this moment for weeks, watching the Zytrons carefully, studying their logic, predicting their every move. Every probe, every signal, every subtle attempt by the aliens to manipulate humans had been recorded, analyzed, and understood. Phase 1 is complete, Elias said quietly, tapping a screen. They believe they control the situation. Now it is time for the trap. The Zytrons, orbiting silently above the Earth, continued their work with confidence. Zareth watched the minor disturbances across the planet, noting the humans' responses. They adapt quickly, he said to Vryn. But they are still weak. Soon, they will break under pressure. Prepare for the next stage. Unbeknownst to the Zytrons, every action they took had already been anticipated. Elias had created a series of false patterns, decoy signals, manipulated data streams, and controlled disruptions that painted a picture of human chaos. To the aliens, it seemed that their influence was spreading, that humans were failing. But it was all a carefully constructed illusion. The trap was simple in concept but complex in execution. Elias had identified a major city that the Zytrons considered weak, a city where their probes indicated infrastructure was most vulnerable. The aliens planned to target it, believing it would create widespread disruption and panic, allowing them to test human systems and gather more data. Elias used this knowledge to his advantage. The city would become a stage a controlled environment where humans could counter the Zytron's influence and demonstrate their true strength. Every street, every building, every network had been prepared to respond to the alien interference without alerting the Zytrons to the human strategy. The first signs appeared at dawn. Power grids fluctuated slightly. Transportation systems experienced minor delays, and communications showed brief errors. To the Zytrons, this was proof that humans were struggling. They increased their activity, sending more probes, analyzing every response, and planning their next move. But Elias was ready. Hidden redundancies in the power grid activated instantly, rerouting electricity where it was needed. Transportation systems automatically adjusted to delays, maintaining order and preventing accidents. Communication networks rerouted signals, ensuring that important information continued to flow without interruption. Every countermeasure was seamless, invisible to the public, and perfectly timed. To the Zytrons, it seemed that humans were acting unpredictably, resisting control through chaos rather than strategy. In reality, every action was planned, coordinated, and designed to mislead the aliens. As the day progressed, Elias increased the pressure. He introduced controlled false signals into Zytron probes, making them believe that their plan was succeeding. The aliens interpreted the decoy data as evidence that humans were panicking, that their systems were failing, and that the trap was working. Zareth's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "The humans are showing signs of weakness," he said. "Soon, the city will collapse, and our plan will succeed. Increase observation. Ensure nothing escapes our notice." Vryn hesitated. "Leader Zareth, some signals seem inconsistent. Perhaps there is more intelligence among the humans than we anticipated." Zareth's eyes narrowed. "Inconsistent or intelligent? We shall see. But our superiority is absolute. No human can outthink us." Meanwhile, underground, Elias monitored every Zytron probe in real time. He had prepared a system that could hijack the aliens' surveillance without alerting them. Each probe that scanned the city fed back false information, showing chaos, confusion, and vulnerability. Every calculation made by the Zytrons was based on incorrect assumptions, leading them deeper into the trap. Elias spoke quietly to his team. "Remember, timing is everything. We let them think they are in control. When they are fully confident, we will show them the truth. Every probe, every ship, every signal they rely on will work against them." The Zytrons, growing confident, began to escalate their plan. They activated more probes, prepared to interfere with critical infrastructure, and analyzed the humans' responses. Zareth believed the humans' apparent disorder proved the success of their strategy. But as the day wore on, the humans executed subtle, coordinated countermeasures. Electrical grids rerouted power seamlessly, traffic patterns adjusted automatically, and communication networks remained fully functional despite minor disruptions. Emergency services operated efficiently, protecting civilians and maintaining order. The Zytrons were baffled. Every intervention they expected to cause chaos instead appeared to be met with quick adaptation. Each disruption seemed to create opportunities for humans to respond creatively. To the aliens, it appeared as if humans were unpredictable and uncontrollable. Elias observed the confusion on the Zytron's transmissions with satisfaction. "Phase 2 is ready," he said. "They believe they are winning, but they are walking straight into the trap." As night fell, the final stage of the plan began. Elias had prepared the city with hidden systems designed to turn the Zytron's own technology against them. Surveillance drones were ready to feed false information back to the alien command ship. Power surges could be directed to temporarily disable probes. Communication signals could be intercepted and manipulated to confuse the aliens' calculations. Every element of the city had become a tool in the human counterattack, and every action was carefully orchestrated to remain invisible to the public. To the Zytrons, the humans were still struggling, still failing, still chaotic. But in truth, the humans were preparing to reveal the full scope of their strategy at the perfect moment. Zareth, growing impatient, decided to accelerate the attack. Send more probes. Begin direct interference with the city's critical systems. We must test their limits. Vryn's antennae twitched nervously. Leader Zareth, we may be underestimating them. Their response is unusual. Zareth's eyes flashed. Unusual or clever? There is a difference. Proceed as planned. The humans cannot anticipate everything. Elias, listening in on their communications, smiled quietly. Every decision the Zytrons made was exactly what he had predicted. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth. Humans could anticipate, adapt, and act with creativity far beyond their calculations. The first probes entered critical systems, attempting to manipulate traffic control, power distribution, and communications. Each was met with hidden human countermeasures, redirecting, rerouting, and neutralizing their influence without revealing the human strategy. The Zytrons interpreted each failure as human error, further convincing them of the trap's effectiveness. In the control center, Elias coordinated every move. Now, he whispered, they are fully inside the trap. Suddenly, a series of signals returned to the Zytron ship, showing massive apparent failures across the city. Probes reported power surges, transportation delays, and communication breakdowns. Zareth's eyes widened. It is happening. The city is failing. Vryn hesitated. Leader, could it be their plan is working against us? Zareth's mandibles clicked sharply. Impossible. We have planned everything. We control everything. There must be an anomaly. The anomaly was Elias. Every false signal, every controlled failure, every apparent disruption was designed to mislead the aliens. The city remained fully functional, humans moving efficiently, systems operating seamlessly. But the Zytrons believed chaos reigned. The tension on the alien ship grew. Zareth's calculations, once infallible, now appeared flawed. Every move they made seemed counterproductive. Every decision appeared to backfire. For the first time, uncertainty entered the mind of the Zytron leader. Elias, calm and focused, prepared for the final step. He would allow the Zytrons to believe victory was near, then reveal the full human advantage. The trap was complete, and the aliens were walking straight into it. Soon, Elias thought, they will realize too late that humans are not what they assumed. They will learn the cost of underestimating us. Above, the massive Zytron ship hovered silently, its systems reporting false chaos, its calculations misled by one human mind. Zareth, confident yet uneasy, prepared to act on the information he believed to be accurate, unaware that every move had already been anticipated and countered. And deep underground, Elias Kane watched, waited, and smiled. Humanity's trap was set, and the outcome was already written in the careful logic, foresight, and ingenuity of one human mind. For the Zytrons, the moment of revelation would be devastating. For humanity, it would be a quiet but decisive victory, a proof that intelligence, creativity, and adaptability could outmatch even the most advanced alien technology. And that moment, when Zareth realized too late that the human knew everything, was drawing nearer with every passing second. The city of New Chicago glimmered in the morning sun, calm and ordinary to the unsuspecting population. But below the surface, in the hidden underground control rooms, Captain Elias Kane and his team were anything but calm. For months, they had prepared, watched, and anticipated. Today, the invisible war would finally become visible, not through brute force, but through intelligence, precision, and strategy. Phase 3, Elias said, his eyes scanning the monitors, is ready to begin. The Zytrons believe they control everything. That is their mistake. Above, in orbit, the Zytron ship hummed with activity. Zareth paced the bridge, his mandibles clicking sharply. "The humans are weak," he said, though his voice carried an edge of uncertainty. "Their infrastructure is failing. Soon, they will be at our mercy. Begin the next sequence." Vryn's antennae twitched nervously. "Leader Zareth. Their responses are inconsistent. Perhaps there is more intelligence than we accounted for." "We?" Zareth narrowed his eyes. "Intelligence or chaos? We shall see. Our calculations are superior. They cannot escape our logic." Meanwhile, Elias coordinated the counterattack. Every Zytron probe operating in the city was being monitored, traced, and manipulated. Their technology, which had once been a threat, was now being used against them. Communication signals were intercepted and rerouted. Power surges were redirected to disable alien sensors. Transportation networks were subtly altered to confuse probes. Every action by the Zytrons triggered a human response that they could not anticipate. "Ready?" Elias asked his team. A chorus of affirmative replies echoed through the control room. The first strikes were subtle but precise. Surveillance drones sent false images back to the Zytrons, showing the city in chaos when, in reality, everything functioned normally. Traffic jams appeared on their monitors, but streets were clear. Power outages seemed widespread, but emergency systems had already rerouted electricity seamlessly. Communications appeared fragmented, yet every network operated efficiently. Zareth studied the reports, growing uneasy. Why are their responses precise? Our interference should create chaos. Why do they act before we can predict them? Vryn hesitated. Perhaps they are planning something. A coordinated response, beyond our calculations. Zareth's eyes flashed. Impossible. No human could anticipate every move we make. Yet, every calculation we perform seems flawed. Prepare all systems for immediate escalation. They must not escape control. Affan. Elias watched the alien reactions on hacked communication feeds, smiling faintly. They think they are observing a struggle. In reality, they are stepping into a carefully designed web. Every probe, every signal, every plan they make will now be used against them. The Zytrons, confident yet uneasy, launched direct interventions. Probes attempted to manipulate the city's power grid, cause minor transportation failures, and disrupt communications. Each action, however, triggered pre-planned human responses. Power was rerouted instantly. Communication networks bypassed interference, and transportation systems adjusted automatically. To the Zytrons, it appeared as if humans were responding unpredictably, improvising solutions they could not possibly know. Elias, controlling the operation from underground, allowed the aliens a false sense of confidence. "Let them believe they are winning," he whispered. "It will make the final reveal all the more effective." As the Zytrons escalated, humans continued to adapt and counter. Hidden defensive systems, previously unknown to the aliens, activated one by one. Electric grids, water systems, transport networks, and communication channels all had fail-safes ready to neutralize alien interference. In the skies above New Chicago, a swarm of human drones, sleek and silent, intercepted alien signals, blocking probes from fully observing the city. The Zytrons' technology, which had once been a weapon of fear, now became their own hindrance. Each probe's report fed false data back to the command ship, making Zareth believe chaos was spreading when, in reality, everything remained under human control. By midday, Elias initiated the next stage of the counterattack. Small but precise electrical surges temporarily disabled Zytron probes. Communications sent from the alien ship were intercepted and altered, sending incorrect instructions back to alien units. Every action by the Zytrons played directly into the humans' strategy. On board the Zytron ship, confusion spread like wildfire. "Our systems are failing!" Vryn exclaimed. "Probes are disabled, and communications are inconsistent. The humans, they are too precise." Zareth's mandibles clicked in frustration. Impossible. Every calculation was correct. Every scenario anticipated. Yet, they counter every move we make. There must be an intelligence among them, controlling these responses. The realization hit him like a shockwave. Zareth stared at the displays, his eyes widening. They know everything. One human is predicting our every action. Elias, still in the underground control room, monitored Zareth's communications. "Exactly," he whispered. "And they won't know what hit them until it's too late." With the Zytrons off balance, Elias escalated the counterattack. Human-controlled systems began feeding information back to the aliens that made it seem as if the city's defenses were collapsing. Emergency alarms blared in false reports. Traffic appeared congested. Power outages were exaggerated. Yet, in reality, the city remained perfectly operational. Every human moved efficiently. Every system worked seamlessly. The illusion of chaos was perfect. Zareth, convinced humans were failing, ordered the final phase of his plan. "Deploy all probes. Interfere with critical infrastructure. We will crush their resistance, once and for all." Elias, anticipating this, activated the final part of the trap. The Zytron's probes, fully engaged, suddenly encountered countermeasures they could not bypass. Power surges disabled their sensors. Communications were rerouted. Drones intercepted signals. Each probe became a liability, feeding false data back to Zareth's command. Panic, or something close to it, flickered across Zareth's 3 eyes. What is happening? Our calculations, they are failing. Every probe, every system. It is useless. Vryn trembled. "Leader, we underestimated them. One human has turned our own technology against us." Elias watched with quiet satisfaction as the Zytrons realized their mistake. They had believed humans were simple, predictable, and incapable of true strategic thinking. One human mind had outmaneuvered their entire species. One human had anticipated their every move and used their own technology to control the battle. "Now," Elias said softly, "they will learn the cost of arrogance." The Zytrons attempted to regroup, but it was too late. Their systems, designed for observation and control, had become instruments of their own confusion. The human city remained fully operational, and every illusion of chaos was carefully controlled. Above, Zareth's mandibles clicked sharply in disbelief. How could one human anticipate everything? Every move we made. He predicted it. Our superiority, our calculations, meaningless. Elias, observing through hacked alien feeds, allowed himself a rare smile. The moment of revelation had arrived. Humans had not only defended themselves, they had demonstrated intelligence, creativity, and foresight far beyond the Zytron's expectations. The battle continued, but it was no longer a contest of strength. It was a demonstration. The Zytrons had believed they could dominate, control, and manipulate. Humans, guided by Elias Kane, had turned that belief into a weapon. Every alien probe, every technological advantage, every calculation had been neutralized or reversed. By evening, the Zytrons had no choice but to retreat. Their systems were compromised, their probes disabled, and their confidence shattered. Zareth stared at the monitors, realizing the truth he had refused to see. And humans, guided by a single brilliant mind, were capable of outthinking an entire alien species. Elias watched as the alien ship disengaged from orbit, retreating into the darkness of space. He allowed himself a moment of relief, but he remained vigilant. The Zytrons would return someday. But now, humans had proved something far more important. Intelligence, adaptability, and strategy could overcome even the most advanced technology. In the quiet after the chaos, Elias stood and looked at the city through a reinforced window. Life continued below, unaware of the invisible war that had just ended. Children played in parks, cars moved along streets, and people returned to their routines. Humanity had survived, and more than that, humanity had triumphed. Zareth, retreating into space, finally admitted the truth to Vryn. We underestimated them. Humanity, they are more intelligent, more adaptable than we ever imagined. One mind, one human, changed the outcome of this entire operation. Vryn nodded slowly. Yes, leader. Back on Earth, Elias allowed himself a small smile. He had won this battle. Not with overwhelming force, but with understanding, strategy, and patience. Humanity had not only survived, they had shown the Zytrons the true power of the human mind. And deep in space, the Zytrons would carry that lesson forever. Never underestimate a human. The Zytron ship had retreated into deep space, its massive hull cutting through the darkness like a shadow of defeat. Zareth sat in silence, staring at the countless stars ahead, his mind struggling to process the truth. For the first time in his life, he felt the sting of true miscalculation. One human, Elias Kane, had predicted every move, anticipated every action, and turned the Zytron's own technology against them. Vryn hovered nearby, silent and uneasy. Leader, we underestimated them, she said softly. They are far beyond what we imagined. Zareth's mandibles clicked slowly. Yes, far beyond. One human changed everything. Their intelligence, their creativity, their adaptability. It surpasses our calculations. We cannot approach this planet the same way again. On Earth, life returned to a semblance of normalcy. People walked the streets of New Chicago, unaware that an invisible war had just ended. Children laughed, cars moved without incident, and the hum of the city continued uninterrupted. But beneath the surface, a quiet victory pulsed through the human networks. Elias Kane had not only defended the city, he had proven the power of human ingenuity on a scale the Zytrons would never forget. Elias walked through the control room, observing his team. Every operator, engineer, and analyst had worked flawlessly under his direction. Each had played a critical role in turning the aliens' confidence into confusion. He allowed himself a moment of pride, but did not celebrate. There was still work to do. Good work, everyone, Elias said, his voice calm, but firm. Today, humans proved that intelligence, creativity, and coordination are stronger than raw technology. Remember this lesson. One day, we may face challenges greater than this, and we must be ready. As the days passed, human scientists began studying the remnants of Zytron technology. Though most of the aliens' advanced systems had been disabled or returned to orbit, enough remained to spark curiosity and innovation. Elias encouraged careful study, ensuring that humans learned from their experience without endangering the planet. Meanwhile, the Zytrons had regrouped in their distant sector of space. Zareth and Vryn reviewed the mission, each detail of failure dissected meticulously. They knew everything, Zareth said quietly. Every probe, every move, every prediction we were anticipated. One human mind outmatched our species. Vryn nodded. It is clear, leader. The humans are not weak. They are strong, adaptable, and intelligent. We must respect that. Zareth stared into the darkness, his voice low but firm. Respect. Yes. And caution. We will not make the same mistake again. Humanity is a species capable of far more than we imagined. Next time, we approach carefully. Next time, we learn from our errors, rather than assuming superiority. Back on Earth, Elias prepared for a different kind of mission. The Zytrons were still out there, and though they had been forced to retreat, their presence would always be a reminder that humans were not alone in the universe. His goal was no longer just defense, it was diplomacy, understanding, and ensuring that future encounters would not lead to unnecessary conflict. Weeks later, a single Zytron envoy arrived near Earth in a small, unarmed vessel. It was a deliberate gesture of communication, rather than aggression. Zareth had chosen Elias Kane personally, recognizing the human's brilliance and anticipating that he would represent humanity wisely. The meeting took place in a neutral orbit above Earth. Elias floated in the observation chamber of a human shuttle, facing the Zytron envoy. The alien's 3 eyes studied him carefully, reflecting both curiosity and cautious respect. Zareth spoke, his voice steady but serious. Captain Elias Kane, Zareth began. Your species, and you, personally, have demonstrated intelligence and strategy beyond our calculations. We misjudged you. We assumed weakness, simplicity, and predictability. You have shown us that assumption was incorrect. Elias nodded, keeping his composure. Thank you, Zareth. But we did not seek conflict. We acted to protect our planet and our people. Humans value life, intelligence, and cooperation. Our victory was not only for defense, but to demonstrate that we will not be underestimated. Zareth's mandibles clicked in acknowledgement. Indeed. Your species' adaptability, creativity, and foresight are remarkable. One mind, one human, has outmaneuvered our entire operation. That is extraordinary. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Humans have always relied on ingenuity, teamwork, and quick thinking. That is how we survive. That is how we thrive. And we will continue to do so peacefully, if possible, but prepared, if necessary. Vryn spoke, her tone calm but firm. We have learned a valuable lesson. Humanity is not to be underestimated. We will respect that, and we will approach future interactions with caution. Zareth looked at Elias with a rare intensity. You have proven the truth of what we ignored for far too long. Intelligence is not measured by technology alone. Creativity, strategy, and foresight are equal, if not superior, to even the most advanced machines. Your species, and you, Captain Kane, have earned our respect. Elias considered this for a moment. Respect from an alien species was a powerful acknowledgement, but it also carried responsibility. Thank you, he said finally. Respect must be mutual. Humans will act with caution, but we will also protect our planet and our people. Cooperation is possible, but trust must be earned. The Zytron envoy remained silent for a moment, processing the human's words. Then, Zareth inclined his head slightly. We will honor that. Let this be the beginning of understanding between our species, rather than conflict. And let it be known, humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As the Zytron vessel departed, Elias watched it disappear into the stars. He felt a sense of relief, yes, but also pride, not in victory alone, but in the demonstration of human ingenuity, resilience, and intelligence. Humans had faced a challenge far greater than themselves, and they had prevailed not through brute force, but through foresight, strategy, and cooperation. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to its normal rhythm. News reports spoke of minor anomalies in technology and communications, but no one knew the full story. Humanity had faced an invisible war and won, yet the victory remained largely unseen by the public. That was the way Elias preferred it. True strength, he believed, was not in fame or glory, but in preparation, intelligence, and the quiet knowledge that humans could face any challenge. In the weeks that followed, human scientists and engineers continued studying the Zytron's technology, uncovering new insights that could be used for peaceful innovation and defense. Governments recognized the importance of vigilance, collaboration, and preparation, without resorting to fear or aggression. Humanity had learned a valuable lesson. Intelligence, creativity, and foresight were its greatest weapons. Meanwhile, in the distant reaches of space, Zareth reviewed the mission once more. The humiliation of failure had been replaced by a cautious respect. One human had outsmarted an entire alien species. One human had proven that underestimated intelligence, coupled with determination and strategy, could turn the tide of conflict. Vryn watched silently. "Do you think we will encounter humans again?" she asked. Zareth's eyes reflected both thought and caution. "Yes. And when we do, we will approach carefully. We will remember what we learned here. Humanity is clever, capable, and dangerous in ways we did not anticipate. But perhaps there is value in cooperation rather than conflict. One day, we may even learn from them." On Earth, Elias returned to his office, surrounded by monitors, data streams, and quiet hums of technology. He reflected on the events of the past weeks, the careful observation, the anticipation, the countermeasures, and the ultimate triumph. Humanity had survived, not because of weapons or numbers, but because of intelligence, creativity, and foresight. He looked out the window at the city below, lights glimmering as the sun set. The victory was silent, but profound. Humans had defended their world, proven their ingenuity, and earned the respect of an advanced alien species. The HFY principle, the triumph of human intelligence, adaptability, and courage, had never been clearer. Elias smiled, quietly, knowing that the Zytrons would carry the lesson with them. Never underestimate a human. And deep in the stars, Zareth and Vryn remembered this lesson. Not with anger or vengeance, but with respect and caution. Humans were capable of remarkable things. They had faced an advanced species, anticipated every move, and turned the invaders' own technology against them. That truth would never be forgotten. On Earth, life continued, unaware of the war that had been won. But for humanity, the knowledge remained. Intelligence, courage, and ingenuity were their greatest strengths. And one human mind, Elias Kane, had proven it beyond doubt. The stars above were vast and full of mysteries. But now, humanity had a place among them not as prey, but as equals, respected and recognized for their brilliance. And that was a victory no alien technology, no matter how advanced, could ever erase.